Ooh, could I ask a question? Do you think that we can get chivalry back?
No, nigga.
No,
Definitely
not.
Let me tell you why. In order to get chivalry back, women are going to have to regress in feminism, and they're not doing that.
They won't do it.
They're not doing that. Women want to have their independence, their ability to earn, their ability to be independent and single, whatever it may be. That's cool, but you cannot have the strength of feminism simultaneously while chivalry is being practiced, because chivalry in itself goes against equality, which is what feminism preaches.
Welcome to the CWC Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the home of modern dating, current events, finance, cryptocurrency, and a lot of other things. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Now, Hassan's flying solo today, no Amina, because there's a reason for that. I have not broached my modern dating topics in quite a while. I'll be starting to get some requests from some of my fans out there. I think I have a handful of them that have reached out and said, "Hey, man, when you gonna come out with a little bit more of your, kind of your classic man, modern dating for the classic man type of content?" We missed some of that stuff, so I said, you know what? You're right. It's been quite a while since I've dropped any of that type of content, as we've been focusing more on current events and things like that over the past few weeks. So I said, what better time than to go ahead and record a quick video as it relates to that, because I do have a lot of information, a lot of updates from actually personal experience that, I've been out here. It's been a few, weeks, or actually a couple of 2-3 months since I really broached this topic. And I've got a lot more data, or a lot more input that I've gotten from a lot of young ladies that I've spoken to, as well as gentlemen out there in the dating sphere, as well as topics that I found online. So I do have a couple things I do want to discuss with you guys today, and I want to get your thoughts and opinions on it. And because I'm sensing maybe a changing of the seas a little bit, the changing of the tide just a little bit. I'm out there because maybe the dating market got so bad that now people are like looking for any kind of improvement whatsoever. And how can we, maybe they're even looking at, hey, what can I do to help at this point? Because it's, if you're going to insist on dating, you want it to be a pleasurable experience, right? You don't want it to be this arduous, kind of just very, very difficult, hard slog of, meeting people and trying to get to know them and to work through all the red flags and barriers and all these things, and trying to also at the same time live up to, societal expectations or expectations of your family or whatever that may be. So you saw the clip in the beginning. That was obviously from a very popular podcast. I think actually the biggest podcast that's considered in the manosphere. That's from freshnfit. They had some young ladies on who were starting to notice women are asking, can we bring chivalry back? So, the title of this video is actually, is chivalry coming back? It's a question I wanted to bring up because I'm starting to see a little bit. I can kind of tell, like when I'm doing research for my shows and I see, whatever shows up in my YouTube feed. YouTube I use primarily for research purposes, also for my entertainment. But when I'm researching the show, I'm using a lot of, content providers content makers that I'm following myself. And a lot of them, keep their ear to the ground in the mainstream, right? So I can kind of tell when I start seeing things trending, on the guys that on my feed, the people that I follow, I can kind of tell, okay, this is gaining traction out there in the social media sphere, in the mainstream sphere. It must be a popular topic that's coming up because I'm seeing it more and more. If I start seeing it, two guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, 10 people kind of talking about the same thing, then I say, okay, this is something worth addressing because it seems to be a popular topic or narrative at the moment. So we talk about chivalry. Now, chivalry obviously goes hand in hand on, I've told you guys a million times, I'm a classic man. I'm a classic man who believes in chivalry. I was raised as a gentleman. I was raised to, exactly what chivalry means. If you heard in the clip, basically giving preferential treatment to a woman because of the fact that she's a woman is really the definition of chivalry, right? So, which does kind of go polar opposite to what feminism preaches, right? So feminism preaches that, we're all equal. There's, men and women are exactly the same. The women should not get any preferential treatment because of that. So that's why a lot of feminists really frown upon any kind of chivalrous acts, opening the door, pulling the chair, anything like that is considered demeaning to the modern day feminists. And let me say modern day feminists because I've gotten a lot of pushback, a lot of blowback from people who um, that they don't like the broad brush technique or of painting. All feminists are this way, or all manosphere guys are that way. Like and subscribe to the channel, by the way. We appreciate it. If you get a chance, please click that button. It does help us out with the algorithm, especially a small channel like us. All those clicks help, likes, subscribes, comments, or dislikes, whatever that may be. So please engage with us. That'll help us out a lot in the algorithm. We appreciate it. Now back to what I was saying. Um, the broad brush approach, right? The painting, saying, oh, these, feminists are all like this, or these guys are all like that. You do have to be careful. I've been guilty of it myself. Sometimes my sister would call me out on it. Like, you're using this painting language or this broad brush language where people can get offended because they feel like you're, kind of coming down on everybody who might agree with a lot of the ideals within that specific ideology. So I've started to separate the levels of feminism, right? So you've got modern or third wave feminism, which is the toxic form, which is the modern form that you see today, which is what you see with a lot of the women who are just very, very just kind of just anti-men, really. In reality, I mean, if you listen to a lot of these women, they're very sound very bitter, very, very negative, and you can contribute a lot of that to a few things. I mean, I think a lot of it is their own personal relationships with men, right? Haven't been that great. So that means that all men must be that way because the men that they dealt with were that way. So that they themselves use that same broad brush technique, right? All men are X, right? But we can't paint that broad, right? Like we've got to be a little bit more selective in how we address, because there are, and I've mentioned this, when it comes to feminism, there are a lot of good things that came out of the first generation feminists that were pushing for equal rights, voting rights and things like that they wanted women to have. And I think we all can agree with that. I think that's a great thing. All humans are equal, and we should have all the rights under the law that men and women should have those same rights. But what happens is it gets conflated and is an overcorrection, just like with everything else in our modern society. It's like everything you have this huge reaction and then you have a huge overcorrection, right? And that seems to be what's happening with everything. But, because now, like with the word, me and Amina spoke about it when we talked about Barbie, the Barbie show or movie. If you go back and watch that particular podcast, we talk about how now is the word woke, being overused, right? Is it being now used, just applied to anything that you disagree with, right? Now makes it automatically woke, right? So that's something to think about. Like you gotta keep that in mind because a lot of people will start to use the label or the term. I remember when woke meant that you were awake to the world and what was going on, right? Now it's a term that's been, you don't want to be associated with that term now because it means that you're what it's become now because of the overcorrection that we have in society. It's kind of become now this kind of term of if it's attached to you, you're basically somebody who's out here virtue signaling. You're out here trying to attach yourself to a cause that you know nothing about. You really don't care about it, really. It's just something that's popular in pop culture or in current society. So you want to latch yourself to it and kind of just ride the wave of that, even though you have no actual principle belief in that, right? That's what I see. Like people, when you say woke to me, is people that are kind of like, they're pushing, like when you look at Hollywood, they start pushing all these narratives and pushing out all these, movies and content that has all this stuff in it that people don't want to see, but they think that people want to see it because the overcorrection has them thinking, oh man, this is what people want to see. And they start pushing out stuff that actually pushes the audience away. So it's a very slippery slope. You've got to be careful. But how does that relate to modern dating or chivalry, right? Now, again, everybody knows I'm a chivalrous man. I'm not going to change. I was just in my hallway a couple of days ago. There was a nice looking young lady who was struggling with a big bag of garbage, la basura, and she was struggling with it. And, now if I was, going full purple pill and just like, angry red pill guy, like I would have just said, hey, she can do that herself, right? We're equal here. She doesn't need my help. I should not presume to be any stronger than she is. Let her deal with that, right? She didn't ask me for help, but I am like this. I grew up. I have two sisters. I have two daughters. My mother, my grandmother. I've been around a lot of women, so I'm going to help you. That's just the way that I am, right? So I actually told her, "Let me help you," and I grabbed the bag and I took it to the garbage chute and I dropped it down. And she said, "Thank you very much." We got into the elevator. We went down. We went to work. I didn't try to get her phone number. I didn't try to tell her how beautiful she was or any of these scary things that, a lot of feminists have scared women away to don't let a man help you because he's going to ask you for your number. He's going to ask you to go out. He's going to ask you for this. He's going to expect that. No, he's just a gentleman. They do exist, right? There are gentlemen out here in society that were raised like me, right? That if they see a woman struggling with something, if they see a woman, if I was at a restaurant a couple weeks ago, it was packed at the bar. It was packed. This group of girls shows up. There was one seat. I had a seat here, which would have been her seat. All of her friends sat here. So I hear them. Oh, well, you can share my chair and I'll slide over a little bit, this and that. I wasn't even done eating. But I got up and I offered her my seat. And I said, I was almost done. I said, I can finish up. I can stand up. This girl was probably like 25, 26 years old. She was so happy. She said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." She was like, and her, the older ladies that were with her, it seemed like it was somebody's birthday. They were like, "Now that's a gentleman. See, there are actual gentlemen still left in this world." Like they were like so happy to see it because I'm telling you, most women invite chivalry. Most women would love to experience it. The problem is that the younger women who have never experienced it have been taught that it's taboo by the angry feminists, right? So they're like almost like, so those are the ones that are walking, looking down at their phone. Those are when they see you coming because, oh my God, how dare you say good morning to me, right? Like those are the ones that'll be struggling with something. Like a woman I saw in another video where, hey, she's a well-known feminist in her neighborhood. She doesn't like men. She's a male basher. She's always talking about men suck, men suck, men suck. So guess what? She was having problems with something in her yard and none of the men offered to help her. What did she do? She went online and complained about the fact that none of the men offered to help her. But you bash men all day long, right? So to me, the feminists, the modern day feminists, you can just completely ignore them because they're not going to be happy with anything. It doesn't matter what you do or say. They are just fundamentally miserable. You're not going to change that. They're not going to change. That's just how they are. Trust me, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Because if you try, don't even get into a debate with them. Let them be what they are. Okay, you hate all men, fine. You don't want nothing to do with it. Okay, fine. But don't corrupt all the rest of these young ladies who would maybe like to find a gentleman in their life. So I spoke about personal experience. I do research for a show, as you guys know. I'm a single man. I talk to a lot of women, whether that's, just casually friends, friends of friends, friends of wives of, buddies of mine, whatever that may be, or if I'm going out on dates even. And what I find, I would say 8 out of 10 times is most women, like I said, they really would invite chivalry into their lives. They really would like to have it. Like they see people who experience it and it's like, it's not taboo, right? It doesn't mean that he wants me to take my clothes off immediately. It just means that he's a gentleman and a nice guy who was raised properly, probably in a 2-parent household because he probably had a father there to teach him these things. And it's not as bad as it seems, right? I'm even seeing girls coming out on TikTok talking about how can we just squash this whole boss babe narrative? Like I am over this boss babe. Like they're realizing how hard it is to be a man, because that's really what feminism is teaching you is that be a man, essentially. Now at this point, be a man, be just like them. Why? Why do you want to be like, I wouldn't want to do that if I had a lot of the advantages that came with being a woman. I would take advantage of that. Why would I want to fight against those advantages? Doesn't make any sense. I call it volunteering to make your life harder. So what I say is, in my opinion, and I think, again, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, leave a comment, tell me, say, hey, you're totally off base. This makes no sense. But from what I have seen and what I'm starting to see kind of bubble up online, a lot of women are saying, hey, man, to heck with this boss babe stuff, to heck with this head of the household stuff. Man, this is harder than I thought. Can I just be a queen? I saw one young girl, she was probably 25. She's like, can I just go back to just, where guys just cater to me and just, can I just go back to laying on the beach and just relaxing and my man's cutting the grass or doing whatever he's doing? Like a lot of them want to go back to traditional now because they realize that the overcorrection of modern third wave feminism was so toxic and destructive. And it's turned off enough men to where men are just like, okay, we're out. So now what's happening is you're left in the dating pool with a bunch of dudes that you really don't want to date because those dudes are more feminized than you are, is what I'm seeing. Let me know if I'm wrong. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate all the support. Our goal is to get up to 200 subscribers. But before the end of the summer, we're at around 180. So we need your help to click that button, help us get there. We appreciate it, guys. And we'll see you next time.